Hi, my name is Frank. Welcome to St. Genevieve Community Access TV. We're here to highlight some of the jewels and events of St. Genevieve, including what you see before you, which is Pioneer Days here in St. Genevieve. This is the general store. We're going to go in there. We're going to talk to Candy, who's one of the organizers of this event. Today we're going to explore and discover. What we're going to do is ask everybody who they're from, or where they're from, who they are, and what they're doing here, and we hope that they're having a good time in our lovely town. Today we're going to explore and discover. We're going to frank around and find out. Yeah, there's freight carriage and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff going on. This one is Frank. No? I have some questions about your stagecoach and about your horses as well, which is, one, how did you acquire such a beautiful piece of antiquated machinery? And two, how old are your horses and how often do you swap them out? Stuff like that.
Well, because of the mules having the stamina they've got, I will pace myself today.
Mules, sorry.
And they can go all day.
Right.
They can, because that's why the mule was predominantly used in this line of work, because, grab that case too, would you? Because the fact that they can go without water longer and go without feed longer, and they can pull more. It takes a 1,500-pound horse to pull what this 950-pound mule can pull.
Right.
And
this thing is a masterpiece. Look at the craftsmanship.
This is Amish built. Comes from Ohio, and an Amish craftsman made it. And how I was able to acquire this, I had one before in a partnership agreement, and that kind of dissolved.
Sure.
I was not looking to buy this, but I guess it's 3 years ago now, when COVID hit.
Oh.
COVID was, I mean, it was here, and you know, we're not locked down everywhere. It was like March, and Mount Hope, Ohio is one of the largest Amish communities in the country.
Okay.
And they had this huge draft horse sale and carriage sale. And I was watching some vehicles sell that were beautiful reproductions like this stagecoach.
Yes.
And they were selling for 50 cents on the dollar because we're considered Englishmen. Oh. They cater to the Englishmen.
Right.
We come there and spend our money.
Sure.
The Amish spend it on other things, horsepower as a rule, and then they sell their craftsmanship. Well, when I was looking at all these carriages sell for 50 cents on the dollar, I said, this might be affordable today. And it was, because literally I paid 50 cents on the dollar what this thing would have been worth had it not been COVID and nobody was there.
Yeah.
Englishmen.
Sure.
And it didn't draw people from all over the country like it usually did. So I was able to purchase this then.
Right. Now, and how long have you been tooling around and with the stagecoaches and that kind of thing? I mean, look at the craftsmanship, but still not just the craftsmanship of this, but your skill set and how you developed it. Did you grow up with horses and that
Yes,
kind of thing?
I always had a love for horses, and my dad liked horses, and he had fond memories of working with horses when he was a little kid on the farm, and he was that generation when it transferred into tractors, and a lot of people said, I'll forget everything I knew about horses. They were too much work. I'm happy to sit on my tractor and drive my tractor.
Mechanization, sure.
But Dad always loved the horses pull, because when they get under a load, their back straightens out and they lean into it and pull, and he always loved to watch them do that. So we trained ponies together to pull when I was a little kid, and I was in 4-H. You're familiar with 4-H?
I am.
And had a 4-H leader who was an excellent horseman. He was almost a clinician before it was popular. You know what I'm talking about, the difference? We used to break horses.
Oh.
A horse or mule is an animal of prey.
Yes.
We're a predator. We would dominate them, break them.
Right, yeah.
And we express our authoritarianism over them, our dominance over them, our predator nature over them, and break them. Clinicians realize there's another way to do it, where you make them want to please you.
Right.
You give them an opportunity, and that's what the way I train is I never close all the doors. You know, if I want to teach a horse to side pass, if I'm riding a horse I'll want to use leg pressure over here to make them move away from my leg.
Right.
So to make it easier, I'll pull up along a wall or a fence, or ride up along a wall or a fence into the corner.
Sure.
They only got one direction to go.
Right.
So I've opened the door
for him to understand what this
and then so with a slight pressure, I can get them to move away from me. You know, it takes more at first, but you be subtle about everything.
Yes.
And you want them to please you.
Right.
And of course, then there's the pain pleasure principle. Reward them. Oh, good. You know, good job. Good job. You did exactly what I want.
Well, I think that speaks more to the humaneness of respecting the animal that you're on and treating it with a level of kindness. You know, I mean, if one could consider treating.
And that is the difference between, I think, us Englishmen. The Amish, still a lot of them utilize them as a tool.
Really?
And they don't show the compassion, because I've looked at Amish horses in the past, and I get them to respond to me by by my mannerism, being subtle about things and finding that spot they like scratch or whatever. Yeah. And they look at you like, wow, I've never seen them do that, where they just nuzzle you or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they don't treat them like a human being or a living creature. They treat them like a tool. It's their tractor, and they don't show that kind of compassion for them as a rule. And that may have changed. I don't live in the Amish community. I can't say how they maybe transitioned.
Of course.
As well.
Well, this is just an absolute masterpiece, Kevin, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about the difference between horses and mules, and so you're here all day, and how much is it to go on this?
We're accepting donations is how we're doing it.
Okay.
And people by and large are more generous, and if I told you, people say, oh, $5, that's too much, and
But how often
then
you say
it's free. It's free. I accept donations. I've had people give me $20 just to have their picture taken.
Well, yeah, but also,
I don't want to ride. I just gonna get a picture.
Right. But also, how often do you get a chance to ride in something like this with somebody that actually is familiar with it?
That's just it. It's pretty rare.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you for being my first interview out here. Do you have any kind of website or anything like that?
No, I'm just a farmer preacher.
I understand that. Me neither.
Don't do commercial work. That's one reason I don't charge. I just don't, accept donations.
Yeah, sure.
There's an assumed liability.
Oh.
When I used to have a special events policy for doing commercial work.
Right.
Almost all the states, maybe all of them now, operate under the Equine Liability Act, saying when you're dealing with a living, breathing creature, anything can happen.
Yes.
And it will.
Yeah.
And it's easier than me to say I just don't do commercial work.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. And again, what town are you from?
I'm from a rural town, but the closest town is Macetown, Illinois.
Okay.
And like I said, they're celebrating their Fruling Fest tomorrow, so you might plug them tomorrow too if anybody's coming from Illinois and they want to go across the river and just a little further north.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. This has been outstanding. I mean, we're looking forward to the rest of the day. We'll be directing some people your way. Hopefully, I'm gonna talk to as many people as I can. And let them know that Kevin and Frank are here and accepting donations, and they can get photos or take a trip or just get in this thing. I mean,
we'll see how it works.
This is spectacular. Thank you again so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you.
Let people know that this kind of thing even exists here in St. John.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So that way maybe we can get even more people
right. Yeah.
See this kind of thing.
I believe the jour de fête used to be pretty much like this years ago, like in the 70s and 80s. It used to be like that. But, but then we bought this place, and because my wife loves Colonial Williamsburg, and she kind of wanted a store because she knew Tom and Pat Hoover.
We rolling?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. up in town, Tom and Pat Hoover that owned the computer store.
Yes.
And then so we found this place, and we bought it, and then we got the chance to move a cabin, so we moved the cabin here.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, this is just amazing. Yeah. So first of all, how many years have you been doing this, Dale?
Well, probably the wife and I have been doing this probably 25, 30 years.
Really?
Like yeah.
Really?
Off and on. At the Daniel Boone home and at different functions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the outfit doesn't look 25 years old.
No, this is pretty new. This is pretty new.
Yeah.
Now the moccasins might be that old.
Really?
My father-in-law, he made those. There's a center seam moccasins that they.
Right.
These would have been the everyday wear that most people around St. Genevieve would have worn.
Really?
During that time, not everybody would have had boots. They would have been either barefoot or depending on the weather.
Sure.
Weather, or if they had boots, they would wear the boots. Or if they were in the military, they probably would have had boots.
Yes.
But then mostly just working around and doing their everyday things, they would have probably had center seam moccasins.
Those look extremely comfortable, I gotta say.
Super comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I won't tell anybody you're actually wearing pajamas out here.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like it sometimes.
Well, right. So let's also talk about this home right behind us as well. So how old is it? I mean, I know that St. Genevieve is the oldest community west of the Mississippi. 1835 and all that. We'll be covering all of that later. But right now, we just want to talk about this home is magnificently restored. In the log cabin work and all that. That's just outstanding.
Right.
Are people able to go in there?
Right now, it's an Airbnb.
I
see.
Airbnb,
and it's
sure.
rented out. It'll be rented out.
Right. Yeah.
It's
sure.
rented out almost every weekend during the tourist season.
Yeah.
But it has some slow times.
Yeah, of
and
course.
during the week, though, people can rent it during the week a lot of times.
Sure.
You might get lucky on a weekend.
Well, maybe so. Now, I mean, just your outfit. How long does it take to put together something like this? And how many different styles do you have? The 3-point hat, for heaven's sakes. The button-down vest.
Well, right here, this vendor right here, he sells a lot of that stuff.
Really?
He sells a lot of this stuff himself, and he'll sell it to a lot of the reenactors around.
Right.
And a lot of people, you can get it from different companies all around the country. There's like Townsend's, or there's like Samson. And my wife can even make some of the outfits and stuff like that.
Right.
And this gentleman here, I think he works for the State Patrol Department in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
And but he does a lot of the sewing, and he makes a lot of the outfits.
Yes.
And pieces.
Yes.
And you could probably go up there and look at them too.
Well, and also, I mean, I think one of the things for me that I find fascinating, Dale, how did you even get into this?
Well,
with the distractions that we have in the world today, I mean, you can get caught up on the glowing screen. You can sit back on the chair and do absolutely nothing. You can step outside and go for a walk. Right. But you chose this lifestyle. It's amazing, man. It's outstanding.
Well, it is a lifestyle, but just over the years, we've went to different functions and and we thought, well, that would be fun. And my wife, like I said, she enjoys. Like historical places like Colonial Williamsburg,
right?
And we've toured all the houses and stuff. And then whenever we got the chance to to rehab this house here, she wanted to kind of set it back a little bit more, because that house was built in 1850.
Yes,
by a free black man. Mm-hmm. His name was Etienne Casimir.
Okay.
And he did a great job, and it's on the registry of a lot of historical societies and stuff like that. But my wife kind of wanted to set it back a little bit into more of the colonial time, because that's what she was more interested in.
Right.
So we put a cage bar in it, and we did a lot of stenciling, a lot of things that during the colonial period, a lot of people did that.
Well, how long did it take you to refurbish and to rehab the place?
Probably a good year.
Right.
I mean, I didn't really count it. We did a little bit along. I still need to do more painting, because I painted it for the first time in several years.
Right.
You can see it's probably fading down a little bit more. I need to paint it again.
Sure, and that's always going to be an ongoing process.
Then the cabin here, we moved from my house down in Perry County.
Really?
We moved it from down there, and it's on a show called Restoration Road with Clint Harp.
Oh, okay.
It's Chip and Joanna Gaines, if everybody knows who they are. Their carpenter, his name is Clint Harp. He has his own television show on the Discovery Plus channel and on some other cable channels.
I see.
That we are the third episode on the first season.
Okay.
And when we moved all this, and my son, my son right there, that's Andy.
Hey, Andy.
He worked for a gentleman called, his name is Luke Larson in Vermont.
Right.
And Andy proposed this, moving that cabin to our store here to make it an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And he proposed that to Clint Harp, and he said, I'll also research it. So he researched the history, and there's deep history of the Germans, which this is a German cabin from down in Perry County, and all the French heritage here, and all the different cultural things
of course.
And so they liked it. We pitched it to them, and so then we did that show.
Well, that's outstanding. I mean, I just appreciate you and this outstanding work that you've done, and all he's got to do is just sit there and look pretty, I mean, that means she's doing extra work.
Yeah, she's doing extra work.
Right? Well, thank you so much, Dale, for talking to us today.
I appreciate it.
And at some point we're going to talk to Candy as well.
Candy.
We're going to let the hubbub die down in there.
She'll make things a little clearer.
Well, that's all right. We don't mind a little mud, Thank you so much.
Okay, appreciate
it. Thank you. Yeah.
Well,
I'm Frank, and I'm with Candy, who's the organizer of this event of Pioneer Days. And Candy, again, we're just fascinated with this whole Pioneer Day thing.
Yeah.
We've had the pleasure of meeting Dale. We've met the Stagecoach people.
Yeah, he's my husband. Dale's my husband.
Well, he's a fine gentleman indeed.
Thank you. I think so too.
But we managed to make it up here this far, and we were hoping to talk to you. And just what was. How did this come about that you would have such a wonderful day?
Well, I'm a big lover of history. I love American history.
Right.
And so, I've always wanted to have a colonial store, an early American store with like traditional American handcrafts in it. And the store, the town is a whole historic town. I love St. Genevieve. A lot of people don't realize that west of the Mississippi River, this was thriving while all of the revolutionary stuff was going on.
Yes.
I mean, this was already an established town.
Yeah, 1835.
Right, so 1735.
1735,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah,
so west of the Mississippi, this was really going on.
That's exactly right.
So I just wanted to have a historic event. So Ron Rayfield and Justine Dorn that are over there, we all like history. We like to do things together. And so Ron and I came up with this idea of having an event on the ground because I've got all this beautiful ground. And I wanted to showcase some of the traditional artisans that can make pretty things.
Yes.
And give kids some hands-on things to maybe do. And so that's how that came about. So this is the third annual, and it's really, really grown really quickly.
Well, that's no surprise. Really, you've got a lot of neat stuff going on here that we're gonna get to that.
Yes.
But but one of the jewels, we went into this home here that Dale was telling me that you guys.
The Brooks House.
The Brooks House that you restored here. I mean, and you've just got some really fantastic and neat stuff there.
Yeah.
We didn't. It was a little too packed in there for us to actually get in there.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Business is business, and you've got some neat things, and I'm glad that you've got so many people going in there and seeing such fantastic items. I look forward to seeing some of the ceramic pieces in there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the history of the Brooks House, this is called the Brooks House, and some folks don't know this. It's not a colonial era building. It was built in 1850 by a free person of color, Etienne Cashmere, and he lived in it for about his family for about 70 some odd years. He sold it to a fellow named William Brooks. William Brooks was a highly decorated World War I soldier. He came home and married a young lady named Joanna McNabb. Joanna McNabb was the first person of color to have a college degree in St. Genevieve.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So, and she also taught at the Lincoln School on the other end of town.
Oh.
And that was for the African American children. So they raised 3 boys in here. Joanna was unfortunately killed in a car crash like in the 30s.
Oh.
And Mr. Brooks never remarried. He just raised the boys by himself.
Sure.
The 3 boys that he raised went on to become very prominent people. The oldest son, Bill Brooks Jr., became the vice president of General Motors in Detroit and was the assistant secretary of labor to President George H.W. Bush.
Oh.
So that's the first son.
Wow.
Second son was Sidney Brooks. He was very good at sports, football in particular. He goes out to USC. mentors a young football player named O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson named his firstborn daughter Sydney Brooke after the Sydney Brooks that grew up in this house.
Really?
Then Sydney goes on to become the equipment manager for the San Diego Chargers football team.
Wow.
Then the youngest son, Jack, he made a career. All three boys joined the military to get their college paid for through the GI Bill. They all got their college. Jack stayed at the Pentagon after he got out of the service. He worked at the Pentagon for several years. Then he came back to St. Louis and worked for McDonnell Douglas. So all three boys grew up in this house.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And that's
so this has got a cool history all its own.
Exactly.
Even though it's not early American, I think it's an important story to tell.
It's a very important story to tell, and everything has to start somewhere.
It does.
You know, and I think with little seeds like that, you know, you never know what can grow from it.
Right, and I didn't know the history of the house when I bought it, and then when I bought it, people started coming and telling me about the families that lived here, and I was like, wow, what an honor.
Yeah,
So I'm very honored to have the Brooks house, and we've taken it back in time a little further, but one day Etienne Cashmere's one of the relatives pulled up and came in and said, thank you for saving the house.
Really?
My great-great-grandfather built this, and so I was like, that's what made it worth it.
It really does. It really does. Thank you so much for talking to us about this,
welcome.
Candy.
You're very welcome.
Because again, at some point, I mean, we're going to let the hubbub die down here because you're doing a brisk business, but we're going to go in there, maybe take a couple of shots of it, and just and again, the fact that you're bringing so many people to the community, you know, and highlighting one of the most important aspects of St. Genevieve, which is the historic nature of it, you know, and all these fine folks that have come out to do it, you know. So again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for
absolutely
coming
outstanding.
And for the interview. That's great.
That's
Let
what
me
we're all
tell
about
my story.
here. Yeah,
Awesome.
see, and nobody knows this stuff. See, but more will now.
They will now.
Yes.
Thank you. You're
all right.
welcome.
Cool.
Bye.
It's talk to you, and again, just to get you know you a little bit. Again, I'm Frank, and that's Charlie. What's your? Are you ready? Cool. And what's your name, ma'am?
Teresa Moore.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much, Miss Moore, for taking the time to talk to us. First of all, what is this instrument that you have?
It has three names.
Okay.
Lap Dulcimer.
Right.
Mountain Dulcimer and Appalachian Dulcimer.
Oh, I see. Okay, and how many strings are on there?
Well, I'm 4 now, but you can have as many as 6.
Really? Really?
It's
okay.
like a 6-string guitar.
Right. And how long have you been playing this instrument?
30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's outstanding. Well, have you ever been in a band or did the thing?
Well, I go to jam sessions, so not a band like a modern band, but old-time music.
Of course.
I played with the Houston, Texas Dulcimer Society for 25 years before I moved up here.
Right.
So I played with groups and played by myself.
Oh, I see. Again, what drew me to you was the actual instrument itself. So if you wouldn't mind playing for us, that would be outstanding.
Okay. You want fast or slow?
Ma'am, I leave it in your capable hands.
Oh, it's in my hands.
Yes,
okay.
as the instrument is.
All right. So I'll play a tune called "Fly Around My Pretty Little Miss."
Okay.
Okay. Fly around my pretty little miss. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I understand. There's 2 components to music. There's the band, and then there are also the dancers. Yeah, the cloggers.
Oh, right. See, that's exactly the other thing that I was curious about. Have you met anybody here that's a clogger yet?
Not yet. I do ask them when people come up and listen, and if they look like they're animated, I say, "Do you clog?" And
So far, nobody has.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes they do at these events.
Right,
Get somebody that really knows how to do it.
Sure, sure.
And I actually had an experience one time in Houston with a fellow that I nicknamed Mr. Bojangles. He
Nice.
actually really got into it.
Right.
It was beautiful watching him. And
well, yeah, and one feeds the other, I'm sure. Right. Well, that's outstanding, ma'am. Thank you very much for your time. Well, no, thank you for your time and your wonderful music with the Dulcimer. You know.
Appreciate it. I think there's more in here. You know, there's another lady further back with a Dulcimer.
Mm-hmm.
And,
have you considered getting together with her, or is there such a thing?
Yes and no.
Oh.
It has to do with style.
Sure.
And whether or not you can play well together.
Well, I understand. That's the way. That's the nature of music, of course.
Different, you know.
Yeah, inclinations.
They play and
sure.
how they play it.
Sure.
But I think this is working pretty good because you have someone in the back and someone in the front. People can hear it.
Of course. Of course. Well, if we're lucky, maybe we'll get the opportunity to talk to her as well. Yeah. But thank you so much for talking to us.
For your time.
Oh.
If you want any more historical note, the original Dulcimers did not have frets.
Right.
So they used a piece of stick.
Right.
To stick on the noter, and they slid it up and down to find the notes.
Really?
They pressed it here and pressed it here to find, and they used the end of a turkey quill for a pick.
Sure.
So,
well, that's kind of freestyle, isn't it?
The real one.
Yeah. But
before they've started making modern.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I bet during that phase, people viewed the frets as cheating. You know what I mean?
If you go in Appalachia, the back areas, you'll find the real thing.
Really?
People on the porch with a banjo and a fiddle.
Have you ever played a fretless one then?
I've played with it, but I don't play it.
Right.
I own one.
Right.
I have looked at them, and they also have fretless banjos.
Well, and also, one of my important questions is, how did you get into this in the first place?
Well,
and do you play guitar as well?
I play the guitar.
Right.
And so I gotta do guitar, and I was looking for a folk group, folk group to play.
Sure.
So I found a notice in the Houston, Texas paper where I lived at the time that was saying, inviting people to come to this jam session. And it said, we welcome all acoustic instruments. So I thought, well, okay, I'll take my guitar and try to play with some people.
Right.
And some people there had these.
Wow.
So I liked the sound of it, and I said, I'm going to get me one.
Yeah.
So I took 3 lessons, and after that, taught myself.
Really?
Yeah, I went and took a lesson to find out how to tune it.
Sure.
How to strum it,
Yeah.
And just went from there.
Well, yeah, but it's got a lovely sound, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Talking to me.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'll play you a tune on your way winding up if you want.
Thank you,
It's
please.
June Apple.
Okay. Nice. Absolutely outstanding. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, well, I show up ready, or I just show up and hope it all works out. Anyway, so, I'm Frank, as you well know, but I'm here with Candace and Cheryl. And where are you folks from, anyway?
Boonville, Missouri.
Boonville?
Boonville. It's a river town.
Oh, I see. Now, how did you find out about Pioneer Days here in St. John?
On YouTube.
Really? We're already out there without me? Anyway, but that's all right.
I follow Justine's channel. So.
I've heard about that. Have you, apparently this is the third one. Have you been, so I guess you haven't been here before?
Yeah, this is the first one we've been to.
Well, outstanding. Have you enjoyed yourself so far?
Yeah, it's really neat.
That's cool. Oh, and you got stuff.
Yeah.
You got stuff.
And everything is so authentic.
Well, yeah. Well,
Is just, and they sleep here too.
Well, yeah, we're certainly going to get to some of the craftsmen and artisans. Well, let's have a look at the picture.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just curious. Ooh, welcome to the farm. Nice.
Like a bunch of soap.
Ooh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. This one says it needs a little dirt just for authenticity. Now it's real. That's American dirt. Everything's going to be fine.
It does look
But yeah, well, outstanding. So with regard, we'll get to the handshakes. We're far from done. Now with regard to the cookbook, though, and I'm sure I love to cook. Do you have the ingredients? Some of the ingredients for the recipes?
You have made some of her stuff. I've tried a couple of them that I've seen on YouTube, but I
really
read the book. Yeah.
Really.
With turnips. Yeah, I did one turnips, and then one was like a sweet thing.
Wow. Well, I like turnips. I haven't had. I mean,
I don't even like turnips, but when she made it, it looked really good, so I tried it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it was then,
It was
huh?
pretty good. Yeah, it was like mashed potatoes kind of.
Well, yeah, turnips are indeed like mashed potatoes. I think they're a little lighter, same kind of texture though, and I think probably healthier for you. I mean, I'm diabetic, so I gotta kind of be cool with all of that stuff, really. Exactly, But have you been to any other Pioneer kind of events?
Not really, no.
Really? This one just piqued your interest and you thought you'd check it
Yeah,
out?
it looked really neat.
Well, yeah. Well, way to explore and discover. How far?
I've been fascinated by it.
Well, yeah, I mean, these folks put a lot into it, and the level of authenticity, I mean, we met Dale down there and Teresa, who's on the Dulcimer there, and Kevin. Have you been to the, you can go on a stagecoach ride,
Oh, we just saw them.
Oh, well, yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it really has landed perfectly for us. I brought my sweater unnecessarily, but that's what my mom always said, bring a sweater. So I would, yeah, right. So I kind of fall back on that in case. And plus I thought it might rain a little bit, but the weather's holding out for us. Outstanding, Well, thank you again so much, Cheryl.
I enjoyed meeting you.
Well, my pleasure very much as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you guys going to stick around the event for a couple of days, or are you just here?
We're coming back tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll have to think about things we didn't buy.
Well, right. Sure. Well, so yeah, we just talked with Cheryl and Candace here about their time here in St. John, and they're going to come back. They got some neat stuff. We're going to keep it moving. All right? It's a wrap.
Every year already.
Okay. Well.
Are you going to ask me questions?
I'm going to ask both of you questions,
Okay,
really. I mean, and like I said, we're just keeping it free and easy. It's nothing, this isn't investigative reporting by far. We're just...
Where were you asking?
Right, and like I said, again, our main thing, and here we are, you as a person and a participant of Pioneer Days, what got you into this kind of thing in the first place? Yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so Ron is my fiance, and Ron puts on Pioneer Days.
Really?
Me and Candy coordinate to put this on for the first time back in 2020. This is our third year.
Right.
I actually met Justine about a week before, and I invited her down.
Oh, I see.
So I've been all three. This is the third annual Pioneer Days, and we hope to keep the tradition going.
Yes. That's absolutely outstanding. Well, Ron, what got you into this? And I mean, you as well. I mean, it's so neat.
Thank you. Well, I got into history because I grew up mainly in Germany. My dad is a colonel in the military, and so I grew up all around the world. Well, I grew up mainly in Heidelberg, Germany, which is a very old city, if you know anything about it. Cobblestone streets, 18th century buildings, some are even older than that.
Sure.
So growing up there for 8 years, I started turning my nose up to modern architecture. It was actually my love of architecture that got me into history.
Right.
And so as someone who likes architecture, eventually you start looking into kitchens.
Sure.
And the history of what's that in the house, what's that in the house, and how they cook in these kitchens. So I'm more of a food historian. That's my area of expertise.
Really?
Yep. But today I'm the washerwoman. I'm washing everyone's drawers and their dirty socks.
Yeah, I see that. Now, I mean, just the amount of work that would go into building a fire, and then, first getting the fire ready is work in itself, and then you got to draw the water, get the water, and then everybody just do it. Now, how do you know when stuff is clean if it's just in the water? And do you actually at that time did they rinse it out?
This is a whole process here. What you're seeing is just the first step.
Right.
This is early 1800s
right.
laundry.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to do laundry as it was in America pre-1820.
Sure.
So first what you do is you boil the dirty clothes in soapy water for about half an hour.
Right.
And then you take it out. And this is the time before they had washboards. Washboards were first patented in New York in the 1830s, but they didn't become popular until the 1840s. So what did they use before washboards?
A rock?
You could have used a rock.
Right.
They used what was called a laundry bat.
Ooh.
And there are paintings of people in the Middle Ages using these laundry bats. It's such a simple thing that it just hasn't really changed for hundreds of years.
Sure.
So after boiling the dirty clothes for half an hour, I take it out and I literally just beat the clothes with it. And what that does is it makes the soap go further into the fibers of the clothes.
Right, the wolf and the warp, if you will.
Yes, sir. It gets it real clean.
Right.
And evenly spreads the soap throughout it.
Right.
Now, what if I have a stain? I could rub this
lye soap
directly on there. I could do that. This has 2 ingredients in it. It is lye made from wood ash, and it's animal fat. It's lard. So if you want to give it a smell...
actually, I have some, but...
Lard
soap
has
it looks
a
like
very
butter, though. It looks like butter, you know what I mean?
It don't taste like butter.
It's
It
soft.
doesn't taste like
yeah,
butter.
I wouldn't recommend eating it.
Yeah.
Well, how often do they wash clothes?
Once a month you would have
Once a
washed your
month.
clothes.
Ooh, well, that's my kind of style.
So much work to haul all that water and clean all those clothes. So if I had stains, what are some of the things I could have used to remove the stains? Now this is my personal secret right here, but back then it wasn't much of a secret. Can you guess what this is?
Beer.
Cider.
It's not vinegar, it's not beer.
Cider?
And you probably made it this morning before coming down here. Urine. Now, I'm not going to tell you whose urine it is. That's a secret. And I'm not this dehydrated, I swear.
I know.
So it's this dark color, like apple juice, because you have to let it sit out for 2 or 3 weeks to ferment. And that makes the ammonia in the urine stronger. The ammonia is why they would have used the urine on clothes. I know it's awfully strange, but believe it or not, they used it going back to ancient Roman times. It's organic, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Wow.
So to use this, you take about a teaspoon of it, you rub it directly on the stain with a brush, you leave it on there for 10 minutes. It's very primitive bleach. And it bleaches the stains.
Good to know. Good to know.
You never know when you might need that information. Now, what if your whites are looking a little yellow, a little dingy? I have something here called bluing. And they still make this today. I actually got this from an Amish store. But bluing would have been purchased solid. It could have been these little balls like this, or it could have been a solid block. And you put it in some water, mix it up, it dissolves real quick.
What is it? What are those other beads?
And this is made either out of indigo or Prussian blue was the most common.
Sure.
Prussian blue is the very first man-made artificial pigment, and it was made in Berlin in 1708. And it was so popular that already by the mid-18th century, even in Japan, they were using it on woodblock prints. So it spread like fire all over the world when it came out. So the way that I use this is I take just about a tablespoon of it, I mix it in a big bowl of water, you want to dilute it, then I put white clothes only in there, swish it around with my hands, leave it in there for just a minute or so, you take it out, you rinse it again with water, and it makes the whites bright white.
Really?
Yep. Something about mixing that yellow with that blue, it makes it come out white. But if I put too much of this in there, it'll actually stain the clothes.
It'll dye it blue,
It'll
right.
stain them blue, and you have to say, well, that was a nice white shirt, but now it's blue.
Wow. Well, it's what's interesting also is I'm surprised people, so does that mean that people either had blue shirts and they were embarrassed about it, or the people that had white shirts were the ones that were better with laundry, you know?
Maybe.
So,
you definitely could have told if you add too much, it would be a funny kind of blue.
Right, but then
Yeah,
also,
light blue.
but also, if they did, accidentally dye it blue, how does one get rid of the blue then?
You don't. You don't. It's there forever.
Well, there you
just
go
have a
then,
blue
huh?
shirt now.
Wow.
Right.
Blue, nice.
If I want to iron my clothes, I'm pretty sure they call them irons because they originally made out of iron. Now, if you open this guy up, and this is an old one here. I think it's from the early 1800s. There's a compartment in there, and I put hot coals inside.
Woo!
So that's how you get it real hot. It's very heavy, but it's real smooth on the bottom, and I use that for ironing my clothes. But if you put too many coals in, it'll leave black streaks on your clothes, because not only is your shirt blue now, but it's also burnt. Congratulations.
It's a new style. It's a new style. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll eventually catch on.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to turn your attention back to our pot of hot water over here. Now at home, you guys have an agitator in your washing machine. It goes back and forth like this. That's called an agitator. Well, I think they originally called it an agitator because it agitates you. So this is called a dolly, and this first came out in the 1790s, one that looks like this. So this is what the very first one looked like. And what you do is you put it in the soapy water, and you simply twist it back and forth, hence being agitated.
Wow.
And it takes half an hour to do it.
Wow.
And it makes the soapy water move all around.
Well, it really looks like a tiller, come to think of it.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
It's the same very basic principle there if you want to beat up that water.
Yeah, I guess it's all, you know, you got to work to work. Anyway, you got to do it.
If you want to smell good, you got to work for it.
Well, but you got to wait a month.
Laundry day was once a month. Woman dreaded it. You could have done it in the stream, or you could have gotten the water out and filled up some buckets with it. And when you're done to rinse it, you'd have to have a whole separate pot full of water that you have to haul just to rinse the water. And then I have my solar-powered dryer right behind you, which we would otherwise know as a clothesline. If I wanted my white clothes to be even whiter, I would lay them on top of grass. It sounds so bizarre. Why would you lay white clothes on grass? Because doesn't that make grass stains? Well, only if you break the cell walls of the grass will you have grass stains on your clothes. So you don't want to rub it in. You just gently lay on top of the grass, and there's a chemical in grass, and Lord knows I can't tell you what it is, but it's been done since the times of Jesus Christ himself. There are records of people laying white clothes on top of grass, and the sun reacts with it and the grass, and it makes your clothes really white. Huh. Very peculiar.
Well, I'm going to save money now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No charge.
Well, Justine, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and show us and explain some of the things and the whole washing process and how you ended up doing it. We're going to explore and check out some of the other folks around here. And just, you know, one last question. How did you get some of these fantastic items in the first place? Was that just in the pursuit of this knowledge?
Yes. So there's a pretty big reenactor culture in the United States, and I'm a reenactor myself. So there are these online stores and catalogs that still cater to the reenactor world. So a lot of these things are actually reproductions that you can still buy today. And because they're brand new and there are still artisans that make them, they're not as expensive as you might think there are. Now, some things we made ourselves. This, for example, my fiance, Ron, he made this dolly for me, because where in the world can you seriously buy this? But the pot there that I am boiling my clothes in, that's brand new. I got it from a site that caters to reenactors. Some things I pick up from antique malls. You can buy these things all around.
Well, there you go. Thank you again so much, Ron, Justine. Thank you both. All right, it's a wrap.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Frank. What's your name, ma'am?
Lee.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
ma'am.
you.
And
I'm
you,
her
sir?
son, Mike.
Mike, nice to meet you as well.
sir.
I like your three-point style.
Thank
How about you, sir?
I'm Pete.
Pete, nice to meet you as well. All right, now, if I don't write stuff down, you know, it's almost like, you know, I got the memory of a squirrel, you know, like, oh, there's the pen. Anyway, so you made these candles? All right, now, how did you get into candle making in the first place?
That would be Justine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, watching our videos, and we got to know them probably a little over a year ago. And when they were having Pioneer Days, we wanted to be a part of it. So I asked her if I could do the candle making, and
really?
it's actually my first experience.
Ooh, okay.
First timers.
All right. Well, is your goal to eventually have this whole thing filled up, or?
Not today. Nice idea.
Right? Yeah.
Probably one more batch about that many.
I guess if we worked a little faster, but
well, it's all right.
Just basically for a hobby and to demonstrate for everybody how they made candles back in the day.
Sure. Well, how did they make candles back in the day?
Well, they used to be made from animal fat.
Right.
And when the candles burned, they were very sooty. They burned very quickly, so they had to cut the wicks.
They smelled really bad.
They smelled bad. Yeah. And if they didn't keep them in a box on the wall, the mice would eat them. So you would spend all this time making candles. Well, it's made from animal fat.
Yeah.
So you could spend all the day making candles, and then your mice will get in them. So they were kept in a little box with a top. Nowadays they're made obviously with beeswax, and this is a demonstration of the beeswax that we purchased.
Sure.
And we just melt it down in this pot.
Which actually needs to go back on the fire currently.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's Lee, Mike, and Pete, right?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure I'm paying attention. Yeah.
So we just it started out with just the wick, cut the wicks.
Sure.
And then we just dip it in there, and then you put it over here, and then you kind of do, rotation, yeah.
Right. Well, okay.
And it just builds up. You dip it, build it.
Right. Now, how long does the average candle last?
Hour and a half. About an hour and a half, probably to 2 hours.
Really?
Like yeah.
Really?
I will be here to witness the candle burning.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's staying. I'm going.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
I'm back home tonight.
So where are you folks from, anyway?
Western Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Paducah area.
Oh, I see. Well, originally I'm from California, so
wow.
Yeah. Well, ma'am, don't cry about California. It'll be fine.
Nope, California's part of the United States. We're good with that.
Indeed it is. But just in terms of this whole reenacting thing, thank you so much for coming out here and being a part of this.
Oh, we love it. We really enjoy it.
I think that it's an interesting lifestyle, and also enough. More people kind of need to know just what it took to get this far. By the time, people are like, it's dark out, I'll just use my phone and click, there's some light.
Yeah.
But, long time before we got there, we had to do stuff like this, which is put in the work. Well, one, you need the bees.
That's right.
Yes. And
which you got honey and wax from it.
Sure. But just in talking to you and you tell me about the animal fat, after talking to Justine about the lye soap, I realized that animal fat was kind of a key component to the whole thing.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Bambi, but we're going to need you on this one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but even that took the work first you got to get the animal. Step one. Two, you got to do all the work to the animal to make it do everything else that you need it to do. So just in terms of natural resources, to show this has a certain level of reverence and appreciation for the effort.
Patience.
Necessity, really.
Well, yeah, because if you didn't have candles, you didn't have light.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was used to light your home. It was used for worship services.
Of course.
For celebrations.
Right.
So candles played a big part, but mostly for the light.
Well, right, exactly. Well, Lee, Mike, thank you so much for talking to us. I really appreciate it.
We love it up here.
Yeah, outstanding.
We visit St. Genevieve a lot. We're here maybe 1 or 2 times a month.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's worth the 2.5 hours.
Well, yeah, and like I said, this is for St. Gen Community Access TV, and we're just talking to some of the participants and highlighting. This is one of the earlier events in the season, and I think one of the jewels of St. Genevieve is bringing all the folks in and just showing some of the neat stuff we have, thanks to folks like you coming.
We've
really
met
appreciate
people
that.
from Kansas, from Eastern Kentucky.
See?
There's been people everywhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We love St. Gen.
Yeah, so thank you again.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. We're going to talk to, don't tell me. Oh, I already got it. Doug. Doug, I'm Frank, and again, with St. Gen Community Access TV, and we want to talk to folks yourself about participating in events like this. First of all, Doug, you've got some fantastic stuff here, and what exactly is he doing right now?
He's working on a powder horn.
Oh, really? Oh, right. For the muskets.
Yeah.
Right.
This is Jim Duncan. He's multi-talented. can make powder horns, and he builds guns.
Right.
He's got 2 guns on the table there that he's started on. A long gun and a pistol.
Right. Now, what is the horn actually made of? I mean, I guess at this point maybe plastic or something like that.
That's a real cow horn.
Is it really? Wow. And are cow horns hollow?
Powder horns, do you?
Yeah, they just slip off.
Really?
There's like a bone mass, and the horn horns are actually like hair.
Right.
And so that just slips on. And when they get old and they need to shed them, it just comes right off.
I didn't know that. Well, yeah. See, I mean,
cows, buffalo, sheep, bighorn sheep.
Right. Right. Now, okay. Now, this is a powder horn for the powder, which is for the gunpowder, which goes for the musket. I get all that. Now, how much powder does that thing hold?
That one right there probably hold 2 pounds.
2 pounds?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of shots.
Yeah, it's also like 2 sticks of dynamite in there.
Really?
I've got one on my belt over there. That I usually put a pound in it.
Holy moly! Ooh, do you have any of the actual gunpowder balls themselves? I mean, you know.
Grab that round ball.
Man. Look at this thing. 62 caliber. Look at the size of this thing. Man, that'll show you something. But yeah, okay.
I cast my own round balls too.
Do you really?
Yeah, I've got a little mold, and I've got a folding ladle that fit. They all fit in my shooting bag, so I can take out a piece of lead and put it in there, and hold that over fire and melt it down, and then pour me around whatever I need.
Right. Wow. Well, okay. How long have you been doing it? What got you into this in the first place?
I've been doing this kind of stuff for probably 11 years.
Really?
And the reason I got started because I was in the Air Force for 20 years and I retired. And I went to work, but when I retired, but I needed something where I had that camaraderie like we had in the military.
Of course.
And we have that here.
Because you're with the milice, as you say.
We all run the circuit together. We see everybody everywhere. Even one of our buddies that does Civil War comes to see our event.
Sure.
And he's here today. And this is the only time, too, that we get to see Jeff Baggett up here, the bookseller. And he's a really good guy. So, you know, there's that camaraderie. We see people we don't see all the time.
Well, right.
And then after you all leave, that's our time, and we have fun as reenactors. We sit around and talk. And,
well, yeah.
You know, we love to deal with the public and educate, entertain the public.
Yes.
But our time is good for us too.
Well, I'm sure it is. Yeah, because you guys are in the know. It's like after the show's over, all the actors get to be themselves and still be a part of it. Yes.
Good. Really good.
What, like squirrel?
Sometimes.
Really?
I got 2 squirrels in my cooler.
Do you really?
And tonight,
I was just kidding.
Mike over here is going to cook chickens in a Dutch oven.
Oh, okay.
My son, Wyatt, is getting his fire ready.
Right.
I have a deer shoulder, and he's going to cook that.
Oh, really?
Not that long.
Okay. Well,
and I'm going to cook black-eyed peas.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I was going to say. Now, I mean, we've covered the proteins, but okay. Well, I mean, I love to cook, but I mean, I'm just loving this whole thing. Now, let's talk about. What about the starches? I mean, what are you just going to have potatoes or something? I suppose.
Probably corn on the cob, corn on the starch.
Right, indeed. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Justine, you know.
Yes, I met her.
Justine's going to cook corn on a fire.
Oh, I see.
She's got corn on the cob, and she'll soak the ears, and she'll lay them right on the fire.
Right.
On the grate and cook them.
Oh, okay. All right. So I see he's working on that horn. How long does it take to finish a horn, and how do you know when a horn is finished?
Well, you got to be able to see through the thing to see how much powder you've got.
Right.
You got to thin them down to there.
Considerably. That takes a while, I would think.
Yeah, it does. It does. And the old timers, they even use broken window pane glass or something like that to scrape with.
Really?
Yeah, it won't It'd take a while to dull a pocket knife scraping like that.
Wow.
It's going to take a little while, but it keeps you out of trouble.
Yes, yes, it does, sir. Yes. Ooh.
And you're not out making a fool out of yourself. And your wife all excited because you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Oh, well, yeah, let's avoid that.
If he gets in trouble, then I get in trouble because then his wife would be mad at me.
Oh, I see. Well, let's avoid that.
All done, you got something that you can decorate.
Yeah, I see, and that's like scrimshaw, isn't it? Or would one consider this scrimshaw, really? Wow, look at this thing. Did either of you gentlemen do this, or did you get it like this?
Jim, did you do the scrimshaw?
Jim, did you do the scrimshaw on this?
Yeah.
You did?
Well, yeah, but sailors did it, soldiers, young soldiers.
Yes.
You know, garrison and some of these strange old forts in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
With nothing to do but wait and hurry up.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that did the scrimshawing, and it turns a powder horn into a document.
It really does. It really does. This is fantastic work. Yeah.
Some of them are very interesting. What's on them?
Well, you know, I was familiar with scrimshaw, but I thought that was mainly only on whalebone. I had no idea that it was just part of...
horns are durable.
Yeah. Indeed they are, sir. That's why we build them.
Another reason why they wanted something durable and
now
powder dry.
Now this one's pretty ornate. I see that that you've got it capped off here and capped off here, and of course this is where you fill it here, and this fills the.
It's got a stopper. You can whittle a little stopper out.
Oh, okay.
Fancy.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look at this woodwork. This is amazing. You know.
I mean, you can make a little one to carry when you're. Like when you go out squirrel hunting,
yeah,
you can carry enough powder in something that size to.
Yeah, I guess you don't need 26 of dynamite when one will do, huh? Ooh, look at this. Ooh, that face is kind of scary. It's kind of a little devil face or something like that, isn't it? You know.
What that is, don't you?
No.
It's a water spirit.
Oh, my mistake.
No Indian would have to have something like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and look at this, the work on this.
And you know, there is one pictured in one of the museum collection's catalogs.
I see.
Chief Quinney was the indigenous person's name, and it's got a water spirit carved on the plug of the horn.
I see.
That's where the idea for that came from.
Right. Well, it's absolutely fantastic and beautiful work, sir. Thanks for showing it to us today. You know, now again, you've got. Yeah, now let's talk about the stock of the musket and that kind of thing. First of all, how does what kind of wood is it, and how do you select the wood in the first place?
This is eastern curly maple. It doesn't grow in Missouri. It grows on the west side, the east side of Mississippi.
It's imported.
And it's old trees that grow on poor ground on a hillside that's rocky. And this is one in the works.
Right. Now
this one is actually, it's got a peculiarity here called a step toe.
Yes.
To the gun stock.
Sure.
That's very early. This would have been pre-Revolutionary War.
Man, but the barrel, by the time you're pulling this thing out, you've got to mean serious business.
Well,
you know, and also, I guess you would put it down, you do the whole thing,
now this
you know.
One is Revolutionary War period.
Really?
And this would have been.
Oh, look at that! That's beautiful.
This one is a 50 caliber. This one's a 45.
Well,
now look at the difference.
This one's considerably lighter. But look at this, and it's been lacquered and all of this. And
no, it's strictly linseed oil.
Oh, really?
Linseed oil. Rub them down with that.
Really? And over time, it just looks. This is beautiful work.
Beeswax.
Right. Right.
The metal. The iron.
Sure, man.
It's got a.
Ooh, look at the handle.
A grease box. That's for your tallow, your grease. You have to grease the patches that go around those lead balls.
Right. In order to slide it on in there.
One of the best makers in the St. Louis area very early was an African American.
I see.
So we did have.
Right.
Yeah.
And look at this. Look at this ornate work here.
Oh, that's Pocahontas.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
This is a grease box. You press the little button.
Right. Oh, look at that.
That's where you keep your tallow.
Right. That's like James Bond style. Yeah. Now tallow is basically animal fat, you know. Now I've talked to Justine and I talked to Lee over there because Justine was telling me about how lye is made from animal fat.
That's exactly what's in there.
That's amazing. So you can either clean your clothes or
carried tallow boxes in there, where they kept their tools.
Right.
Yeah, tallow was the lubricant of the 18th century.
It really was, or I mean, it's just, or it's just kind of a, it works for everything. Ooh, look, even down here, there's like a little ornate face.
That's the Liberty Cap maiden.
Really?
That's Revolutionary War period.
Man, I mean,
that's that Liberty Cap.
Just the level of
Greek cap.
Right. Well, see, but just the level of craftsmanship and detail in something like this,
And then up here, you've got the old moon and the new moon's arm.
Right.
And another one. These are hex to keep it from getting witched.
Well, I see. And also, it's got the male and female aspect of being, I suppose.
So this thing has got stuff on it to keep it from getting witched.
Well, yeah, I guess you need that. I mean,
you don't
it's
want
not.
To have somebody witch your rifle in a shooting match and you spend all your money and then not be able to hit the center.
There's that. I mean, just even. Oops. We're going to keep that down in there, but also just even this this brass around the muzzle there and all of that. There's just this whole thing, I mean, and just to even get that in there for your sight and all that, because you got to get that just
back
right.
And forth so you can adjust the sight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in there tight enough, but you have to get your sights adjusted, and once you got her dead on, don't hunt with any other rifle. Just keep that one in here.
Man, but
but they were expensive enough you wouldn't have owned them.
Sure.
Unless
I mean,
you're really wealthy.
Right, and this would set you back a considerable coin. Now, but just whenever they show these things on TV, they load them in like 30 seconds or something.
Just poured in
yeah.
Those horns have measures made out of deer antler, cane, tin, brass.
Right.
They carefully measure that powder charge. You don't want to burst that barrel with too much powder, and you're out of luck.
Right.
It might knock an eye out.
Oh, right.
So you have to handle it very carefully. There's a powder measure.
Ooh, I see. Oh, okay. So you'd actually pour, you would pour the gunpowder into this, put it in there, and then do your thing. Oh, okay.
So you don't want to waste, and
graduated. It's got different measures.
Oh.
Because I've got 6 different guns.
Sure.
And they're all
different velocity. Whoop whoop.
I got 4 different calibers. So each one takes a different, and a pistol takes less than a long gun.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, you can put the same charge.
It's just gonna and just fall right out. Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah.
But like.
This thing's amazing.
My gun, I usually put 75 grains of powder in.
There's the rarest of all early American firearms.
Wow. I mean, look at that.
That's part of the artistry. That's Stromboli.
Oh, I see.
That keeps that butt cap from getting broken.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me for a minute, Jim. I think I hear him starting the drums. Jim, Doug, thank you for talking to us today. Outstanding.
Chester again.
Okay.
And just explain that. When 7 stars. Okay.
Not. Yeah.
Play one more song that we started with. It's called Chester, and the reason I love the song so much is that I was raised in Massachusetts, and William Billings was from Boston, Massachusetts. He was one of the first American composers, and he wrote a song called Chester, which was written as a church hymn against the British rule, but it was adapted to marching tempo. And this is what it sounds like. So, and in many ways, it was our first national anthem, and that so many New Englanders and colonists rallied around this song as their anthem. I wish we had the lyrics for you, but we don't sing; we just play.
Yeah.
If some of the younger children, younger people want to do some very basic musket drills, we're going to do it right here, and I'll teach you how to do some very basic things. I think I only have 10 or 11 toy muskets, so that's about all we can do in this session. And at the end, what we'll do is a quick parade just around this area. And we need to choose a George and Martha Washington because we're going to do a colonial military musket salute. But we're going to start with some basic musket drills for them. So I'm going to start with the long roll. The long roll is basically a call to assemble. The reason the fife and the drum were used in colonial America is because the fife had a very high pitch and could be heard above the din of battle. So there were calls with the musket, with the fife, but also the drum could be heard above the gunfire. So that's why it was used for different calls. So I don't know if I'll do that today, but there's a few that I can demonstrate now, and one was after they loaded the musket, it was make ready, and that was like this. And then the second one was aim, fire. And there were many, many other ones. We're going to do some basic musket drills right now with the children.
Can we do the one where we...
Michelle, nice to meet you again. I'm Frank.
To meet you.
Frank Johnson. So anyway, I'm Frank, and this is Michelle, and we're talking to her about some of the things that she does. What exactly is it that you do here, ma'am?
Okay, Candy had asked me to come over because I work at the Pierre Menard home when it's open.
I see.
I'm an interpreter for the house. Pierre Menard, his home is over in Illinois.
Right.
And he was the first lieutenant governor underneath
Shadrach Bond.
I see.
He was the governor. And what I do is I give tours of the home. I take care of the garden. I clean the house. And I plan events.
Right.
And I'm here to show about him and to make some dolls. I'm working on a corn husk doll. And I also make the little rag dolls too.
Oh, I see.
That's I had a couple more. I sold them, and then I made one and sold it.
Right, so. Right. Now about the dolls. I mean, and I guess that's just kind of a. This is what we had to work with back then, huh?
They had material. They would just cut them up into. I know they're in here somewhere. Oh, here they are. Cut them up into strips.
Sure.
Like this.
Right, right.
So that would be part of her dress. And then her head and what you would call her body.
Right.
Is made out of mostly this type of material.
Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah,
and it's
a thicker.
Sent to me too.
Oh, really? Yeah, and that's a thicker material. I mean, just so during the whole colonial period, I mean, they wore their clothes forever and ever. So,
yes, they did.
So by the time they would say, "Well, I guess we're done with this," then it'd have to be pretty threadbare and worn.
Right.
Now, and you know, to go like, well, I guess Susie needs some scraps. So, how long have you been making these dolls?
Let's see. I started at the Pierre Menard home in the summer of, or the fall of 2015.
Oh, okay.
And I've been basically doing it ever since, except during COVID.
Of course.
And so somewhere I started going to the rendezvous. Somebody told me, "Oh, you need to go check this out at Fort de Char."
Yeah. I thought it was Pierre de Roche or something?
Yeah, in Prairie de Roche.
Yeah, Prairie de Roche. Right.
And they had these dolls, and I thought, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Wow.
And I have had days where we do have events in the summer for kids, and we've made dolls with some of the kids before.
Sure. You know, and I gotta say, there's something special about when it's not manufactured. You know,
I agree.
I mean, I think that it's almost like a form of meditation, really.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. When your mother, who's 90 years old, wants one, and that's her doll.
Oh, nice. Outstanding. But yeah, these are absolutely fantastic, and the Pierre Menard things that you have here as well. And thank you for bringing the photos of the place as well.
Oh, you're welcome. I actually made that. The DAR from Cahokia had asked me to give them a brief, or talk about who he was.
Sure.
The life and times, basically, of him. And so that's when I made that up. And then the DAR up in Petersburg.
Oh, okay.
Asked me to do the same thing, so it's come in handy.
Right. Well, yeah. One reason we came to talk to you because you're at the far end, and we want to talk to we're hitting all the stops.
There
you
go.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I mean,
My pleasure.
And thank you for coming out here and being a part of this this splendid day. It really
and we had no rain.
Yeah, I was I almost brought my umbrella in the whole bit,
Well, it's funny when I posted it on Facebook, because I have a Facebook page for the home.
Right.
And I said, this is what I'm doing this weekend. I posted a picture of my tent, and I said, that predicted rain, stay away.
Yeah.
And it did.
And here we are. Yeah, I forgot my raincoat and my umbrella, so I was like, I hope this goes well. But yeah, thank you so much for talking to us.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Tch you.
All
It's
right.
nice to have met you.
Likewise, ma'am.
It's nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. Sweet.
Taught me.
Really?
How to spin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
I've been doing it since I was a baby in her lap.
Really? That's absolutely outstanding.
When I was a little toddler, I would stand next to her and I would push the wheel, and then she would graft the wool out and make the yarn. And so I've been spinning my whole life, basically.
Here. I'm sorry, ma'am. And again, my name is Frank. And
Renee.
That's Charlie.
Hello, Charlie.
And your name's Renee? Okay. Now, again, you've been doing this since you were a baby. So, so this whole yarn thing. Now, are you doing? This is like colors I've never really even seen. You can't get this stuff anywhere.
Yeah, I do use modern dyes.
Sure.
Instead of the old-fashioned way of dyeing wool, you would have to gather like 7 gallons of marigolds to make 1 skein of yarn.
Right.
To get the enough color for 1 skein of yarn.
Right.
So I do modern dyes now instead of the old-fashioned natural dyeing, but
sure.
Otherwise the hand spinning is all old school on treadle machines.
Yeah. Okay, now, and let's talk about this machine because it's very dynamic. And so this is the raw wool, and now you're pulling it to get the right thickness that you want on the spool, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm drafting it and pulling it out.
That's amazing.
And I do use what's called a control card, and it's a little thing that has different lines notched out in it,
right.
And that will tell me
what
how
gauge
thick I'm making it, and that way I can stay consistent through the whole skein of yarn.
Yeah, and that's really what you want, you know, in terms of actually knitting the woof and the warp, right? Right. Ooh, like I know something. It's crazy. Anyway, but I'm sorry. So with each batch of yarn, or I guess wool at this point, how long does it take for you to make a spool of this?
To make 1 skein of yarn, it takes me about 7 hours.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's this is about 4 ounces. Oops, and it's not coming off there. And this will make 1 skein of yarn.
Oh, okay. Right,
and
right.
It takes me 7 hours to spin it into yarn.
Now, okay. Oh, okay. All right. So you've got it. You've got it in the raw form. So
I've got raw wool that's dyed.
Right.
And I actually sell kits where people can learn to spin their own yarn on a drop spindle.
Ooh.
And it comes with a really good instruction booklet. And so I actually try to pass this on and teach it to people.
Really? Oh, so you have workshops and classes and stuff like that?
Not yet. I'm hoping to start giving some in the
I see.
future.
Okay. I mean, it seems to be, it's just absolutely fascinating and some lovely colors. So, all right, so once someone does have it on the spool or whatever, and then it's at that point they can begin knitting whatever they desire, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get this skein of yarn made up, you can do anything you want with it.
Right.
Weaving.
Yeah. I mean, I have silly questions because, well, one, I'm silly and I don't know anything. But two, it just seems to be such a fascinating process, you know? Wow. And since you've been at it so long, I mean, you said since you were a baby and all of that, right? Now, I mean, do you just do a lot of this? I mean, I know you have your gauge thing there. I mean, because I suppose that's what the pros do. But at a certain point, do you just have a certain feel?
Yeah, at a certain point, I don't really need to use the gauge that much. And,
right.
You know, you learn by feel, and but doing it as long as I have, I don't really have to check with that, but I do still.
Oh, and look, it's a 2-pedal system. I didn't realize that.
Yes, it is a 2-pedal system, and
so you get your steps in, really, also.
But there are different kind of spinning wheels. Ones that have 1 pedal to them.
Right.
But this one is what's called double drive. There are 2 drive bands.
Right.
And one goes to the shaft, which is connected to this outer flyer.
Yes.
And then the other band is on the end of the bobbin here.
Right.
And so they spin at different speeds.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and that's what puts a twist in it is the outer, the flyer, going around. And then the bobbin spins at a different speed, and that's what pulls it in.
Oh.
Pulls that thread in then.
Oh.
So they go at different speeds.
Right.
And that way the flyer spins faster.
Yes.
And that's what puts the actual twist into it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's absolutely amazing. Ooh, so
it really is just a pulley system.
Yeah, sure. Well, but how long did you build this, or did you? I mean, it looks like it's kind of modern looking.
Manufactured wheel.
Sure.
And it's from the Kromsky company. And this wheel is special in that it folds down, and the flyer comes off.
Right.
I can
so it's collapsible.
pack it away.
Yeah, that's right. Ready for travel for events like this, huh?
Carry bag.
So, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but some other questions, like how long have you been coming to these kinds of events?
This event is my second year.
Sure.
I've just started vending in the past like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, right.
You know, I'm new to vending, but I've been doing the spinning most of my life. And, I've been saving most of the yarn for my own projects and giving it away as gifts, and now I'm starting to sell it.
Well, here we go. That's how things develop, you know. I mean, it goes from, I think, a hobby and a curiosity, which I don't think is necessarily selfish, but to have something grow, you know, and also have people experience something like this is absolutely fantastic, you know. And then, I mean, your level of mastery and craftsmanship are outstanding, you know.
And now I'm turning this into my full-time job, you
know. Yeah. Well, good for you, ma'am. Thank you so much for talking to us, Renee. Yeah, okay. Well, I think that does it. Nice to meet you so much. Thank you. But yeah, I'm here with St. John Community Access TV. We rolling?
Whenever you're ready.
Good. Well, yeah. I always ask if we're rolling because I just talk anyway. But anyway, Jeff, what is this that you have? And one, where are you from?
I'm from Cadiz, Kentucky.
Oh, I see.
In western Kentucky.
Really?
About 3.5, 4 hours southeast of here.
Well, thank you for coming to St. John and being a part of this event. Okay. Wait, you've got what's that?
Stories and Sundries.
Ooh, Stories and Sundries.
Yeah.
Nice. 1776. Good year. A great year, really. But yeah, and I see some of your goods in the background. That must have taken some undertaking to get that stuff here.
Not too bad.
Really?
Well, no, this is kind of what we do. I'm a writer. My main thing are the books I write. I write historical fiction.
Oh, okay.
During the American Revolution.
Really?
We tried to expand over the years to bring in other things. A lot of quill and ink and journals and pencils.
Well,
we try to focus on reading and writing.
Well, yeah, literacy is, I think, a very important aspect of our society.
18th century twist.
That's okay. Yeah, you know. So you say that it's historical fiction. Now, given that, is your highlight in these fictions the people or the events, or is
more
it just
the people?
Okay.
My characters in my novels are actually either my ancestors or my wife's.
Really?
And so we have documentation on how these families were involved or things that they suffered. For some of them, I have pensions, so it tells the battles that they were involved in.
Really?
And so I form what I call my skeleton of truth.
Yeah, of course.
And then I flesh out a story
right
over the top of that.
Right. How long? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so excited.
It takes me a year or two to write one.
Really?
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I have finished 7.
7 books?
For grown-ups, and then I have another series for younger readers, kind of the 10 to 14 age range. I do books for adventure books for upper elementary, middle school age kids.
You're prolific, man.
Not so much. I didn't do them all at once.
Oh, right.
Doing one at a time.
Sure. How long have you been doing it?
About 7 or 8 years.
Really? Wow. And do you come to many of these historic events, or do you just?
My wife and I work full time. We're both. I'm medical laboratory field.
I see.
My wife works with hospice.
Sure.
So we have jobs. Don't allow us to travel like a lot of these folks do. This is their thing. But we do about one event a month during the season, starting in April and then going up through October, November.
Right. Well,
we
absolutely.
travel a little bit, but not much.
These are amazing. Okay, so let's talk about some of your fine products that you have. I mean, you have the books, bunches of them, and 7. That's amazing.
Well,
bravo.
There's more in here.
Yeah. And also, but let's talk about the quills. What are the quills made of?
We have feather quills, also a later generation of dipping pens that were like bone or ox horn or wood.
Really?
Yeah, we have leather writing, sketching journals. We have inkwell bottles.
Sure.
and a couple of different types of ink that were used in the 18th century. One that's a walnut ink, another that's a brown, and another black India ink type.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, and some pencils and such as that. And,
sure.
And little, something not quite 18th century, but little slate boards. That comes a little bit later.
Right, but I think it all goes hand in
toys and things, but not much.
Right, but it all goes hand in hand with writing. Yeah,
right.
So it makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense.
Reading and writing. That's
and when you read some of the historical documents, or even this one, the Constitution, I think in today's modern society with texts and this and that, the importance of the word and eloquence and expressing oneself is lost. And I think it's kind of a shame, really.
Yes.
So
a lot of the nuance of our language,
right,
and how words actually do matter.
Right. Exactly. And flow.
And I love to use original thing. Like my latest book was set in Virginia, and these characters, not characters, but my family members. It was a family by the last name of Priddy, Priddy, and they were in Hanover County, which is where Patrick Henry was from.
Oh, I see.
And so, of course, I had to weave some Patrick Henry.
Sure. Yeah.
The story.
Yeah, a little cameo or two.
Kind of a Patrick Henry protege fan, and when he made the famous "Give Me Liberty, Give Me Death" speech,
sure.
I found the earliest version text of that I could, and so I wrote that into the story where they are outside of the church looking through the window when he comes up to the podium, and then I verbatim, I cited it, but
yes.
I put the entirety of what he spoke.
Well, that's fantastic.
As it was recorded 2 decades later, so
right.
It probably wasn't quite right.
Well, yeah.
But it's, it's the best that we have.
It really is.
I also try to bring all those, I try to weave as many big historical characters in where it makes sense. I can't put people where they weren't,
Well, right. Well, good for you. Well, and I think that's also very important in your attention to detail regarding that period and those characters. Sounds absolutely fantastic.
Sure. My stories roam. They come from all different colonies, so with each one you have to get into the local politics. Because all politics was local.
Yeah, exactly.
In the American colonies, the difference between living in the Georgia colony and living in Rhode Island, it's like being in another universe.
It really is. It really is, and for them all to come together is remarkable given that time period.
Because they all had different interests.
Right.
Different reasons for being involved.
Right.
Some were eager to jump, like Massachusetts Bay.
Sure.
Some, like South Carolina and Georgia, had to kind of be dragged along to the party.
Of course. Yeah.
New York just kind of sat on the sidelines and abstained.
Yeah. I watched. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but the series John Adams.
That's what comes to mind.
Well, right, exactly.
I think that follows really well that process and how that vote finally came.
It does, and also what makes that relevant to today that I don't think a lot of people cover is the fact that the citizenry were attacked by enforcement, one could argue, or you know what I mean, and
a lot of people
how that was a genesis for our society.
Sure, and a lot of folks don't understand how much the Revolutionary War was, in every sense, actually a civil war. It was neighbor against neighbor.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Not everyone was for independence.
Well, right, exactly.
It was roughly half and half.
Yeah, right, exactly. And why wouldn't we be loyal to
a lot of times it was neighbor against neighbor.
Right.
You had loyalist militia and rebel militia.
Well, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And for people to view it as, we're biting the hand that feeds us. And we're like, hold on a minute. We're feeding them. They're not feeding us. We already have the bounty.
Everybody had a different perspective.
Exactly.
That kind of determined what side they aligned with.
Well, right, exactly.
I had one ancestor who started out as a loyalist and actually fought as a loyalist in South Carolina. But then, for whatever reason, he changed sides. I don't know why, but I wrote a book about him, and I came up with a reason.
Well, right.
With a scenario.
Yeah, or even, I wonder how it was after that. So we have established that we are a country. We have separated ourselves from the monarchy. And after that, for the people that were loyalists, that were here,
some got sent away. There was Evacuation Day in Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
In fact, I wrote that into that book.
Oh, I see.
Where some of the friends who remained loyalists, I can't remember the date, 1783, but they were put on ships and they either went to Canada or Bermuda or the West Indies or back to England.
Wow. Yeah. Right. Bye-bye. Yeah. So there's that.
They either had to get on board or go, and it was hard. But
right.
I mean, history is what it is. It happened.
Of course. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for talking with us. I certainly appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for covering this. You mind if we get some shots of your fine store and what have you? Kim, it's lovely to meet you. I'm Frank, and I was just wanted to talk to you as well for a second. Especially since you are, he might be the front man, but we know that you're the main engine of this whole thing.
So long for the ride.
Well, yeah, but a very important component in that you're also selling stuff for the kids as well. With the quills and the chalkboards and stuff like that. And so he's also written kids books, from what I understand.
Yeah, lots of kids books. Maybe 4th grade, 8th grade range.
Right.
Yeah,
great. Well, that's outstanding.
Yeah, kids need to
literacy is important.
History,
Well, history and literacy is very important. That's how I was raised. With those kind of at the forefront. And I think that I was just talking to him about it, and we lament that things like that are lost with a brief text. So
exactly.
I mean. It is what it is, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Sitting down and taking the time to read, you hear the voice of the author in your head, even though it's your own voice producing these words from someone else. So there's a bounce back, that allows time for contemplation, I think. I could be wrong, though. I talk a lot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you so much for talking with me for a moment, Kim. We appreciate it, and I hope you do well here and enjoy your afternoon.
It's been really busy today.
Good, and thanks for coming to St. John, okay?
We love it. It's neat.
Good.
Here, so.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
Bye. Hard, okay? I promise. I promise. Just easy questions, okay? Again, my name is Frank, and I'm with Tom, Luna, Thomas, Appanella.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, Luna, and Appanella.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you. They're from Norway. They made it all the way here to St. Genevieve. What? Anyway, so how did you find out about this?
Because we have rented a house just beside. Look at this.
I see.
We have our daughters from Norway. She's here studying.
Oh, I see. In St. Genevieve?
Yes, so she graduates today.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
We are going to a party later.
Oh, I'm going to a party later, too. Not the same party, I think. But I'm not going to your party. It's okay. So are you having a good time here?
Yes. Very good time.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you know about this?
No.
Oh.
We just drew by early this morning, saw some tents, and
we
okay. This might be interesting.
Just behind
we have rented a house.
Oh, I see. They were making noise, so you came to see them.
You hear the drums.
Well, I'm from California. I've been here 10 years, so but I love it. It's a very nice community, and thank you so much for coming out to participate with us.
Thank you.
It's also happening tomorrow. So. Just so you know, there's going to be more noise. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Pleasure to meet you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.